a specialist offering solutions in B2B and B2C space in electronic refurbishing and e-waste recycling and refining. Winner of many distinguished awards in India, a proven change agent consistently refining and revitalizing business strategies, introducing innovation and facilitating solution, team-driven collaboration locally and globally. Mr. A.L.N Rao will be presenting on circular Li-ion battery value chain, Indian landscape. The stage is yours, sir. You can continue with your presentation.
Thank you, Rusha. Thank you, Urdav. Thank you, Venkat and Chelsea. Pleasure to be here speaking about a very important subject. Good speakers, good content we did see from the morning. Always it's difficult. Pre-lunch and post-lunch all are difficult sessions, but let me try to wrap it up as fast as possible. The point I'm trying to talk about here is more to do with specifically lithium-ion batteries, the value chain. The contents are more to do with the global scenario. What's the current global scenario? India's government policies and regulations, the demand and potential that is there in India for these lithium-ion batteries, the secondary applications, about recycling, a little bit about our organization. We all know that India is a signatory to the Paris Agreement in reduction of the climate, in reduction of the temperatures by up to 2 degrees, right? And under the World Economic Forum, there's a body called Global Battery Alliance, and this body has actually come out with around 3 major points as far as batteries are concerned, wherein since the demand is going to exponentially grow by around 25% annually to reach to 2,600 GWh by 2030, decarbonizing transport through electrification, that's a major point. Second point is shift from fossil fuel to renewable power. That's the second major point that's come out, and helping to provide access to electricity to off-grid communities. These are the 3 most important ones. This means that batteries can fundamentally reduce GHG emissions in the transport and power sectors. So since we are talking about the most important subject called automobiles, it could be EV or regular way vehicles, but this is a very, very important statement I wanted to start off with. Now, batteries actually could enable 30% of the required reductions in carbon emission in the transport and power sectors. It can provide access to electricity to 600 million people globally who currently have no access to electricity, and create 10 million safe and sustainable jobs in the world. This is something phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. So what's the battery value chain to couple the transport and power sectors? If you can follow the arrows on the drawing, it starts off from active materials and it goes on all the way to V2G and the smart charging from there onwards to purpose-built urban EVs. It moves into shared mobility. From there, it moves all the way to second life, decentralized energy, centralized storage, and from there onwards, repair and refurbish. And from there, it goes on to the applications, and then finally to recycling, I'd say. So urban mining, I would call it as. So the battery value chain, the opportunities are there by 2030 up to $300 billion, I would say, for that matter. The split is mentioned in this chart, where we're looking at from 2018 to 2030, it's growing by 8x, wherein mining is around 3%, refining is around 25%, active materials is 8%, even though reuse and recycle is around 4%, but it's still substantial. And the share of the countries also is shown in this particular slide, wherein, of course, China takes the lead. So the scaling battery production by a factor of 19 is a major opportunity for every step of the value chain. So raw material lining, the mining industry needs to extract greater than 300 Great Pyramids of Giza per year in 2030. Raw material refining 14x, active materials over 800 billion battery cells we're talking of by 2030. That is phenomenal. And cell production alone, we're looking at around 120 additional gigafactories to be operational by 2030. Opportunities for entrepreneurs, for businesses across the globe is in a very, very huge manner in this particular industry. So India's opportunities in the EV battery and the challenges is, say, as Atmanirbhar Bharat, what are the alternative powertrains in India? Energy security, the import dependency, carbon emissions are key issues driving the shift towards adoption of alternate powertrains. These are some of the numbers that are there. It's been mentioned by various the government authorities, but fourth largest CO2 emitter. Now that's a cause of concern as far as health and environment is concerned for us in the next generations. Transportation, it's 10% of contribution to CO2 emission in India. Import of raw materials, again, oil bill. All of us know the cost of fuel currently that's prevailing in the country now. What's the national objectives impact of alternate powertrains? We're looking at alternate fuel options of ethanol, CNG, HEV, EV. The national objectives, the policies that have come out, substantial, very, very good policies that has come out to support entrepreneurs and the businesses in the country. The FAME 1, the FAME 2 policies, the PMPs, the state policies, the PLI schemes that's come in. From 2012, we've seen a lot of such policies that's been announced by the government. So the government is doing its bit in announcing good schemes. The fund allocation, we would say, by the FAME 2 I'm talking of in this particular is promoting public transport. So from 20 to 22, you would see the demand incentive is around plus 8,500 crores. The total FAME fund allocation that's been announced by the government is around nearly 10,000 crores, I would say. And segment-wise, always if you see the two-wheelers, the three-wheelers, the four-wheelers, different segments have got different types of incentives that's been announced. Overall, at an incentive amount is around approximately around 10,000 rupees, 10,000 per kilowatt per hour. That's the incentive that's been announced by the government. Well, simultaneously, to increase the manufacturing in the country for child parts and others, the custom duties also have been increased by the government slowly and steadily across various small parts, wherein we will see the CKDs, the SKDs, it's increased from 10% to 15%, 15% to 25, 30%. And we would see that sort of increase going forward also for that matter. It's not only the center that's supporting, it's also the states that have come out with the EV vehicles, EV coming out with their own EV policies. I've taken 7 states here, but there are very many. And let it be the priority power supply or the power tariff or subsidy on purchases, the loan interest subventions, good facilities, good interventions, good policies that's been announced by various states. And we believe this is going to increase going forward in a very big way. And just to give you a point, the government has announced a PLI, the production linked incentive of around 1.5 lakh crore to boost local manufacturing sectors in automotives and batteries. And for advanced batteries manufacturing, over 18,000 crores has been announced. That's a substantial number to start with. And I am sure there's much more to come in the next few years' time. And the policy push, I would say, you could see that the three-wheelers and the two-wheelers, the growth level from 2019 to 2030 is going to be 80%, 70% as far as the EVs are concerned. So the fleet that's going to come out, or mostly it's the public utilization fleets that are going to come in, like the Olas and Ubers and so on and so forth. So talking of some numbers here, we're looking at an annual sales of around 14 million EV vehicles, and we're looking at around 61 million vehicles units in operation is projected by 2030. The majority of the chunk is going to be in two-wheelers and followed by three-wheelers. So scenarios that's been given here is the base case with high adoption and the low adoption. So high adoption is around So high adoption numbers are given and the low adoption numbers also are given. Yeah. And as we said, just the battery capacity we're looking at two-wheelers of 3 kWh, and it goes up to 200 to 320 kilowatts per hour. And what we see is from 95 gigawatts per hour to 174 gigawatts per hour is what we're expecting by 2030. That's the growth levels we're looking at. So the battery value chains we look at from raw material extraction goes on to battery manufacturing, goes into first use, goes into disposal, as a reuse and refurbishing models. So when battery can no longer meet its performance to the required level, then it goes into recycling. So the impact of EV industry on the reuse opportunity and energy storage requirements. We know the reuse opportunities are very many. In the backup power storage, I will show you some examples in the next few slides. The grid-scale solar with storages is another big example. Penalties in discoms have huge penalties, so that's an area where it can be used too. And diesel gensets, it can be substituted for that. A few of those examples which I've shown here, there are very many for that matter. The energy storage requirements in India to 2025, inverters is going to be the 44% share that's going to take in where this is going to be used. Telecom and UPS again takes a lead in this. So going forward, just to give you an idea, let me take the automotive brands of Honda, the Toyota, the Nissan, the BMW. All these people have proved that yes, secondary applications are possible. It can be forklifts, it can be functional prototype of Chevrolets. You could see the UPS systems, mega UPS systems that's been set in, or these battery storage units in Berlin that's shown here. So multiple usages. We have seen these examples. We have seen it live happening currently, and I'm sure it is going to increase substantially going forward. Coming to India, as far as the policies are concerned, the government legislations, the battery rule, the battery waste management rules has been announced in 2020. It's there for public domain. Now, being a member of the core committee of Niti Aayog, currently, there are discussions happening, I would say, wearing a hat of a Niti Aayog member, that there are a lot of deliberations happening, and you would pretty soon, India would see an enhanced version of these rules, guidelines that will be coming out as far as battery waste rules are concerned, management rules are concerned, across various batteries, I would say. And definitely, it is going to be a game changer for the country going forward. Simply put, a very simple diagram trying to show from mining as far as the recycling is concerned. It goes into refining, it goes into cathode production, it goes into battery manufacturing, the metals that comes out of mining, and goes into battery use, and then it goes into second use. And again, there are three types of recycling: pyrometallurgy, it goes into refining again, hydrometallurgy, goes into cathode production again, goes direct recycling, which is a hybrid model, I would say, for that matter. And the most effective model which we are able to witness as of now, in the last decade, which we have experienced being a recycler, is the hybrid models are being accepted more and more currently. Some basic information I would like to show about the advantages and disadvantages about the pyro or the hydro or the direct. Pyro, flexible, it can be applicable to any battery chemistry, but again, it's proven technology, but high recovery, but cannot treat LFP batteries, expensive, capital intensive, and refinement is necessary post the pre-processes in pyro. Hydro, again, it's a good concept. The can be applicable to any battery chemistry, but there are certain processes that you need to do. The acids that comes out, again, it breaks down the cathode structure. So how do you manage and look into it? The anode materials, the graphite and conductive additives are not recovered in the hydro. So how do we work on that? There are various R&Ds that's happening at a lab level and pilot level. Direct recycling is a mix of the two technologies and mechanical, pretty well accepted in the world globally, I would say, currently. So as far as the spent lithium-ion batteries are concerned, you discharge these batteries, goes into dismantling, you disassemble, use your multiple processes that you have, and from the battery packs to the module, battery modules and spent LIBs, and then you extract the metals that are there. Mechanical treatments, chemical treatments there. Is technologies available in the country? Yes, it's available in the country. It's not necessarily you need to import all technologies. CMET is there in India, which has come out with various technologies, processes. NML is there, and BARC is coming out with new technologies. There are various labs that are coming out, government labs that are coming out with new technologies. People have looked at and have bought these technologies and implemented. Of course, processes are refined by each recycler in the country. The type of chemistries that exist, so NMCs and LFPs are the most common accepted in the country for that matter. And the recycling challenges in India is basically evolving battery technologies, no uniform recycling technology. There's nothing called one style fits all. The battery price is high, recycling costs are pretty high, battery pack designs, it's mixed and match. So there's no standard designs that's coming out there. Collection and transportation, there's no known players, processes, systems, even though in Niti Aayog, here we're trying to define a few of those. Recycling opportunities, very many. And partnerships will start cropping out between producers, manufacturers, recyclers, various players. Collaborations by automobile giants will happen in this particular field, and for automotive EV recycling and for general recycling of automotive scrap would happen going forward in a big way too. Just to mention 2-3 slides of our company, we are an e-waste recycler. We are also there in EV battery recycling. We also do puff recycling because in seats that comes in, Mr. Sharma did mention about in his presentation about the seats contribute around 20%. That is PUL, PUF. These are very, very difficult products to recycle. We are there already there. PML, PMR, we are there in precious metal refining. And we are expanding across the country and globally also for that matter. About puff, we have already come out with solutions. We are able to, mill it, size reduce it, degas it, briquette it, and send it to cement kilns, and where the calorific values are equivalent to coal and the residual values are lesser than coal, I would say, for that matter. We got some awards also for that. Again, carbonation, it applies for automobile scraps too. ASR comes in, it applies for e-waste, for battery waste, for solar waste. And here we are able to put in all sorts of waste inside, and we are able to generate LDOs, light diesel oil, and we can refine it and use it for 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, for automobiles. Syngas comes in, we are using it for power generation, captive power generation by connecting it to turbo power generators into turbo generators in the plant itself. Most importantly, in batteries, there's a polyolefin that comes in, which even that, for that matter, as a recycler, you need to provide solutions for everything that comes in waste. And that's something which we have mastered in giving solutions, even for this polyolefin that comes in as a separator in lithium-ion batteries. Processes, mechanical, hydrometallurgical, that we follow is basically, it goes through shredding and leaching and solvent filtration, decanting, and again, cyclonic separation, saving black mass. The black mass is the one that goes into leaching, and the others, it goes into other processes. And we are able to extract salt and metals, and it's used in multiple applications in the country currently also. So as a recycler, it is not necessary. Of course, quality output is necessary at all times, but not necessary. Application-based output is more important, and different qualities have different application usages. So if there is an application-based systems, if you are able to develop as a recycler, you will be successful in getting the resource outputs based on applications, and you can build in a business in a very, very big way in the country too. A snapshot of what we are. Currently, this is a pilot plant which we've installed for black mass around 50 tons per month currently, which we're doing. The new plant of ours is opening up in September. It's in a 10,000 tons capacity plant that we are opening up, a very, very advanced plant, recycling processes that we are mastering there for that matter. To end the presentation of mine, some thoughts as far as recycling is concerned. the metals that comes out, the salts that comes out, can be given a tag of green salts, green metals. That's something which we are looking at also in Niti Aayog for that matter. Incentives for these green products for the recycler who's selling these products, and also for the buyer. It could be automotive sector, it could be the battery manufacturer, it could be the construction segment, or it could be the roads, Ministry of Roads per se. These metals can be used there for that matter. Taxation is another big aspect. We have seen that in lead acid batteries too. There's a mismatch happening. It's not being looked into in a serious way, but now hopefully we will be addressing that in the Niti Aayog paper that we are coming up with. Battery chemistries, battery packs, battery cells, standardization from the manufacturers. If it comes in for the recyclers, it's going to help. We already know that the manufacturers are looking at creating a difference around 1 mm between, or half mm between one, to bring in competition, bring in effectiveness. But what it's going to do globally is going to bring in problems across the world, as well as dismantling, refurbishing, secondary applications, recycling. Also, what we understood is tracking of this battery packs and cells. What sort of a tracking and tracking mechanism can be evolved? Because cells are not going to be easy to be tracked. At the end of the day, each manufacturer would like to use his chemistries. He would not want to disclose it out. But at the end of the day, they definitely, for reuse in their manufacturing, they would ask from the recyclers the recovered materials. And to bring in a much better ecosystem, a value chain, if transparency starts coming in from there, it will help the entire ecosystem. The circular economy model would flourish in a very, very big way for that matter. How do you determine the quality of the content of the recycled metals that the recycler comes out with? That's required for anybody and everybody. And sampling labs, assaying technologies, R&D centers in the country with the government help required. The recyclers are the forgotten lot in the country. There's no support at all, either from the government for anybody for that matter. So if you see, that's the reason why it's mostly to do with family businesses. But support needs to come in, PLI schemes needs to come in from the government in a very, very big way, and from the states too. And statewide schemes needs to come. There are very many thoughts that can come out with, but let me end here. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for a very patient hearing. And I conclude my presentation here.
Thank you so much, Mr. A.L.N Rao. So we are up for Q&A. We have the first question by Piyush Dhawan. What would be the tentative market size of recycle of lithium-ion batteries coming out of EVs?
That's a very good question. Out of e-waste, if you say the e-waste segment, mostly it's the mobile phone batteries and the 18650 cells that comes out of laptops. Currently, of the 3.2 million tons of e-waste that's being generated, I would look at it something around 2 to 4% of what comes out as far as batteries are concerned. So it's less than an half a million US dollars in the country. That's the value I would peg it at in the country, I would say. But mostly, since these are being, I would say, pre-processed in the country majorly, and it's only now, for that matter, recyclers have started putting in plants, and we're able to see pilot plants. So it's not inventorized yet in a big way, but the numbers should come out this year in a much structured way to answer your question, if I'm right. Yeah. Yeah.
Next, we have a question from Mr. Arun Dilipan. He has asked, though we have a huge market potential for refurbished or remanufactured lead acid starter batteries for cars, we have less number of people dealing with remain or refab of it. Why is that so? Is that due to the complex process of money involved?
That's a good question, Mr. Arun. In fact, lead acid batteries is a very well-established process that exists in the informal sector and in the formal sector also. The manufacturers have come out with a good model. However, it's the rules are there. The stakeholders, if you see, the government has put in the right rules there. It's not being implemented to the fullest. There are leaks and gaps that's happening there. So what happens is these batteries refurbishing is a very very big element. They are being refurbished both by the formal and the informal sector. There's a big market out there being used too. The formal players also are there as well as lead acid battery refurbishing is concerned and recycling is concerned. We have very big names who do good jobs there. So yes, it is a very good industry to be in. The market is going to be there, even though EV or lithium-ion batteries comes in, lead acid batteries will never die down even for the next 30 to 50 years time. So hope I am able to answer my question. Something in detail, maybe I can answer you offline for that matter.
Thank you for your insights. For further questions, you can contact him on his email ID that I will be posting in the chat box.
Can I take the other question Mr. Devasis has asked?
Yes, sure, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Devasis, the lithium-ion battery can catch fire and it's very hazardous. You asked a very, very relevant question. So, safety aspects as well as packaging of this EV batteries, because it's going to be from 15 kgs of EV batteries to 900 kgs. It's not only the battery packs, but also the cells inside. So how do you pack it? Now, there are UN norms that is there as far as batteries are concerned, sand and batteries you can put in, and there are norms there, but clear-cut guidelines not there. In India, we're trying to work something out as far as Niti Aayog is concerned. When you pack it and then ship it, transportation. Now, petroleum, when it moves from one location, we have dedicated vehicles to ship it. What is there for EV batteries or for batteries in particular, lithium-ion batteries? Can we come out with a policy on that? That's a question that's being asked and it's being answered too. Safety as far as storage is concerned, for hazardous, how do you store it? We see a lot of times, you would have been reading news that Tesla vehicles are on fire, catching fire. There are many other vehicles are catching on fire. Software upgrades are happening as far as lithium-ion batteries are concerned, it's catching fire, the batteries are catching fire. So, and we know for a fact that the manufacturers are already coming out with some solutions to solder and advanced welding solutions for cells so that you cannot use it for reapplication. So what are the hazards there? So yes, it is hazards are there. There are some solutions available, but there needs to be a lot of R&D to come out with good solutions for that matter. So thank you for asking that question. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. A.L.N Rao. Currently, we would be going on a break. Thank you so much for being a part of this session, Mr. Rao. We would be looking forward to connect with you in our further events as well. It was a pleasure to have you on the stage.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for a patient hearing, and thank you for giving me an opportunity. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye.
Currently, we would be going for a lunch break. I would request you all to join back at 2 p.m. sharp